Hi, Valley Fourth Church. I'm Pastor Josh, joined today with Pastor Sam, bringing you your community connection. Today, we want to talk about some cool things going on with the youth group. You've probably noticed some of the youth out in the lobby selling some goodies. Hopefully, you've bought some of them and some T-shirts. And maybe you're wondering what's going on. So we want to talk about that today. So they are preparing for a trip called Lead the Cause. So we have no idea what that means, Sam. So tell us, what is Lead the Cause?
Yeah, so Lead the Cause is a 1-week evangelism conference in Denver, Colorado. We'll be attending it July 5th through the 10th. We have a team of 6 students, 3 leaders, of which I am one. And we're really looking forward to it. This is an organization that has a mission statement of every teen everywhere hearing the gospel from a friend. And so it is a lot packed into 1 week, both content and the experience.
Okay, and this isn't the first time you've taken kids, right? 2 years ago, took a group, and so it was a good experience, and you're going back.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, we attended Lead the Cause at a different location. It was actually in Washington, D.C. 2 years ago. We've chosen to do the Denver location, which is kind of nice. I mean, you have the glitz and glamour of being in Washington, D.C., but Denver will be exciting because this is where the organization that puts on this conference lives, and so this is their own stomping ground. They've done these conferences here for years, and will be staying at Colorado Christian University, and they're kind of a partner organization in this as well, so it should be really, really exciting.
Good. Well, you said the students are going to learn a lot of stuff there. Can you even preview for us maybe the kind of things that they'll learn about?
Yeah, so it's really helpful that we've gone before, so this will be my second time kind of attending this. And I've gotten to know the organization that puts this on really well. You may have heard us partner with them before. The organization is Dare to Share, an organization dedicated to training teens how to share their faith. But I guess I'll just kind of run through what the week is.
Go ahead.
First day, we're just arriving, and then we kind of have a structure, a pattern to each day. It begins, obviously, breakfast, kind of going in the cafeteria and whatnot. There's some morning teaching sessions where the whole groups come together, and we're going to have literally hundreds of students from youth ministries all over the nation attending this conference. And so it's really neat just to mingle and get to know other students, other ministries, other pastors and leaders. And so there's kind of morning focused devotion time. There's lots of teaching sessions in that morning. But really the most impactful and equipping part of the trip is they have almost these breakout groups, right? So we have these sessions of, hundreds of students in an auditorium hearing kind of the keynote speaker. But then after lunch, we each get broken up into classrooms on the campus with individual instructors and get put in groups of, 15, 20, 30, and go through a very detailed presentation of, one, what the gospel is, how to explain the gospel, and also how to just start conversations that will lead to a gospel conversation. And so for me, as a pastor, as a graduate of Bible college, I was just blown away personally from how helpful that training was. I think it better equipped me to be involved in evangelism in a more personal and organic way. And then after these sessions, students have a maybe we could call it a lab since we're at a college campus. They have a lab or an excursion that we go on each afternoon. And there's 3 of them. And so the first excursion, a lot of the main keynote sessions were dealing with the importance of prayer as it relates to evangelism, that we ought to be praying for opportunities, praying for individuals, praying for wisdom. And so they really emphasize the importance of prayer and evangelism. And so the first excursion we do is a prayer walk. For the Denver location, that's a prayer walk on the Columbine High School campus.
Oh, wow.
Getting to walk those halls and think about the students at home and really kind of confront these teenagers who think they're going to live forever, that life is short and life is fleeting. And so I've heard, because we've never attended Denver, that is a very impactful experience for students and all involved. And then the second excursion is a service-related excursion. I'm not exactly sure what the details will be in Denver, but, soup kitchen, this idea of we want to share the gospel, but we also want to be compassionate to people as well, to meet some real physical needs as an opportunity to open them up to possibly meeting a more important spiritual need as it relates to salvation. And then the third day is the scariest day for students because that's when they just get sent out in groups, supervised by their adult leaders, but they get to go to people up on the street and do what they've been learning. How do you start a conversation?
Wow.
How do you explain the
Yeah.
gospel? And so it's really neat. And some students really take to it very quickly. Others, obviously, it's a little bit slower. Our first experience in DC was funny because we had some reluctant students, not surprisingly. So I went up and basically was like, okay, just come with me, watch me, thinking the pastor would know what he's doing. I totally bombed, guys. Language barriers, just kind of fumbling even over my own words. And so one of my students looked at me and was like, whoa, that was bad. I was like, yeah, it was. She's like, well, if you could do that, I can do the next one.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a fun experience to see, your youth pastor not do the best job, not know exactly what to say in the moment. So I benefited from the practice
Good.
as well. So
Good. Were there any other activities that you guys get to do while you're there?
I expect there to be some differences from our trip, to DC to Denver. DC had really bad traffic problems, so we spent hours on buses stuck in traffic going to different
locations.
tourist sites. I imagine we'll have a little bit more downtime in Denver, but maybe not. So we'll see. But one of the other things that I was really appreciated about this program is that this isn't meant to be experienced just in Denver.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of bridging the gap to what it's going to be like to go home.
Okay.
And so part of these, sessions, particularly in the larger group settings that I appreciated, was opportunities for students to actually make a phone call and call a friend that they know is not saved and have an opportunity to share the gospel with them, or send a text message, or even write a letter.
Yeah.
So that was probably some of the more challenging parts. It's sometimes easier to talk to a stranger as opposed to someone that or maybe a part of your family. And so that'll be an experience that students will have while they're there as well.
Cool. Well, I like the T-shirts that you guys made. They have our mission statement on them: making, teaching, and sending disciples. So you definitely want to check out those T-shirts. I think we'll tell you more about that in a little bit. How does this trip connect to our church's mission to make, teach, and send disciples?
Yeah, I think it really is one of the most important things that I've done with students in my time here being a youth pastor, because I see it as addressing each one of those three elements of our mission statement. Clearly there's the sending aspect where we're sending students to go and be trained and even go and share the gospel. So there's a clear sending, evangelistic, outreach mindset to this. But one thing that surprised me in our experience 2 years ago was how formative this experience is in each student's own personal walk with the Lord. I think it was a bit of a wake-up call for some students when they were given the responsibility in a new way to go and share the gospel. They realized, man, if I'm going to be doing this, I really want to know and have the confidence to do this well.
Yeah.
And so we saw a tremendous amount of personal growth in the lives of students during this conference, after this conference, to where now these students are serving, and who attended in years past are serving in greater areas of leadership. They seem to have grown in personal areas of prayer and Bible study. And so the Lord really used this as a catalyst in their own discipleship journey as well, which sometimes feels backwards, right? We sometimes feel like we have to get to a certain point before we can go out and share. But I've almost seen the reverse of, just by pushing them to go out and share and evangelize, it's actually helped them to get to that point that me as a youth pastor has been working to get them to for quite some time. And just a quick note, one of the humbling things about this trip is we did see students lead their peers to saving faith in Jesus. Awesome. The last group that went over the course of the following year, we saw about a half dozen commitments to follow Jesus from them personally sharing their faith with others throughout the course of the year. And many of those students are still very active in evangelism in our ministry even today.
Wow, that's awesome. Great report. Very encouraging to hear. So last question. How can we, as a congregation, help or be involved or support the youth in this trip?
Yeah, well, we would appreciate your prayers for sure. Prayers for some of our financial needs, but really just praying for the students, and we'll be sharing, who these students are, what their names, sharing some pictures of them. But I would appreciate you just praying for our students and our team going there, that this would be a fruitful experience for them in their personal walk, as well as their ability to share the gospel while they're there, and especially when they come home with those who need to hear it. So prayer would be probably the most important. But there is the real practical need of we're raising funds for this trip. We're having to purchase airline tickets to fly to Denver, rent a rental van, pay tuition for this conference for each individual student and leader, which includes room, board, food, all that sort of stuff. So there's money to be raised. And so some of the fundraising that we're doing, as you mentioned, is we have our dessert table set up every Sunday. Come get some delicious cupcakes, cookies, even if it's not delicious, buy it anyway. But we've both sampled what's there, and it is and has been delicious. So it won't be any sacrifice to come and stop by there. So you can come and stop by our bake sale. We're also selling T-shirts, as Josh mentioned, T-shirts for the whole church. It is our church mission statement on a T-shirt with kind of a picture of the nations as well as we go to make, teach, and send disciples of all nations, Matthew 28:19. So we encourage you to buy one of those T-shirts for $20. Not only will you look good, but you'll be doing a good thing for our team.
Good. Maybe someone will ask them why they're wearing the T-shirt, and you'll have a chance
maybe
to share your faith with someone, perhaps.
It's very possible.
Yeah, just hearing what the students are going through is even challenging, for the adults in the congregation to maybe get out of our comfort zones and be willing to share and be prepared to be ready to share the gospel. So it's exciting. Stop by. Make sure you get a T-shirt. I think we also have that available online, right? If you go to our Facebook page, you can find the post with a link to order that online, or email us. We could probably email you that link as well. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you on Sunday, our 2 normal service times at 9 a.m. or 10:30, and we'll see you then.